Hello everybody, I am David, and today I'm going to be talking about a whole lot of DCTV, which includes Gotham, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Tom Welling. And since I'm going to be talking a little bit on Tom Welling, I thought I'd talk a little bit about Smallville as well, even though it's an older DCTV, since we don't have Arrow, The Flash, Gotham, or no, Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow back. I thought it would be fun to remember something about Smallville that I think influenced some of the movies of Marvel, actually. I'll get into that when I get there, and you'll understand a little bit more, hopefully. But right now, let's get into the first topic, which is Gotham. Gotham, second episode this week. Gotham, Season 4, Episode 2, Fear of the Reaper, where we finally get our full-on look at the Scarecrow. Jonathan Crane is going full Scarecrow in this episode. And I gotta say, it was really fun seeing this character. We got to see the glimpse of him in the last episode, but seeing him go full Scarecrow in this one, I really got vibes of, like, not really Batman Begins, but more Batman the Animated Series. And it was a lot of fun seeing that. I really like seeing Jonathan Crane in costume. The costume looks good for television, you know? I mean, I guess it's not really a hard costume to pull off because the Scarecrow has to look like a Scarecrow. And obviously, it was very much reminiscent of the Batman Begins look and take on it, because even the gas, when he sprayed the gas on people, was very much the way they did it in that movie, Batman Begins. So yeah, I thought the whole Scarecrow stuff was a lot of fun, and seeing Gordon try to go after this guy despite, what Penguin, the control Penguin has right now on the city. I thought was interesting. Gordon, standing up and giving that little speech to everybody in the police station, I thought was really good. It shows that eventually, I think by the end of this season or next season, he will become Commissioner Gordon. If I had to take a gamble on it, next year, if they do come back for a 5th season, they will have reached their 500th episode. And I do believe the 100th episode would be the perfect time to make Gordon commissioner of the GCPD. Barbara also returned in this episode, and that was really cool. How did she come back to life? They don't say in the episode. I don't remember them saying it anyways. But I did read something with the producers, one of the producers, that Ra's al Ghul was the one that brought her back. I don't know why the producer would reveal it and the show didn't. Maybe it did on the show. If somebody wants to confirm it, go for it. But clearly she's back to life. She has bleached hair now. Her skin is maybe even kind of bleached. I still think they might make her Harley Quinn of this series. I think I read during the summer, one of the producers said, no, that's not going to be happening. But I think that's lying. I think that's them lying to us, trying to cover it up. I don't know why, but sometimes these producers, even when we're on to them, they'll still deny it. But seeing that she's working with Penguin, taking care of the weapons for the criminals of Gotham, it shows how much power Penguin's in right now, and that's not going to be good for Gordon in the future of the season. And this is where little Bruce Wayne as Batman comes in, because Bruce is going out of the law as a vigilante to fight criminals. He doesn't give a crap if they have a certificate to do crime. Crime is wrong either way, and Bruce is going to take them down. one by one. And I'm glad it wasn't easy for him in this episode. You know, we saw Bruce tracking down those criminals, and eventually he does get caught. And you think, oh crap, how is he going to get out of this one? And he gets lucky, the little guy. And eventually it gets to the point where even Alfred has to come in and rescue him. So I'm really loving the Bruce stuff this season. As much as I thought early on that I was worried that they were going to rush it, which in some ways I do, but then I think about it a little bit, and it has been like, we have been seeing Bruce train for 3 years already. 3 seasons. So maybe, you know what, why not? We've seen him train for 3 seasons. Let's get him into a costume. He's not Batman yet, but he is a vigilante trying to do something. And even when he's out there, he's still not perfect. And that's where I think Ra's al Ghul is going to play into all of this. I think Ra's al Ghul is going to play heavily into the second half of the season, after the winter break. I think we're going to see Ra's al Ghul really step up his game. Because right now, we only seen him in the first episode this season, behind a corner watching Bruce. And that was about it so far. But I think that's because they're going to use him more in the second half. Ivy got a little bit to do. She's like scheming around. She doesn't seem happy with her position right now. And I think we might see her go full Poison Ivy this season. It's weird because last season I didn't see how she could become Poison Ivy. And I feel like the writers saw that and was like, you know what, we got to give her a personality change. Because all of a sudden she was kind of mopey in these last 2 episodes. She didn't seem like the Poison Ivy we've known for the last 3 seasons. She was a little kid, and last season she grew into a full scale adult because of what happened to her. She was pushed in chemicals, I believe, if I remember correctly. And that's how she became who she is now. But she still, last season, she still had like those child mannerisms in her. But this episode, she seemed kind of really different, and especially when she went to go to that guy and kind of threatened him. I thought, they're kind of changing her personality a little bit here, which is maybe good for her character because she hasn't been feeling like the Poison Ivy that she should be, and I guess this was their way of doing it. For all it's worth, though, guys. Oh, another thing I liked, before I wrap this up on Gotham, another thing I really liked was Lucius giving Bruce and Alfred the communication devices, I guess, to keep in contact with one another, which is a staple to Batman. You know, Alfred is always behind the comm while helping out Bruce when he really needs it. I like that Lucius Fox kind of helped them out with that. So he's kind of aware that Bruce and Alfred are doing this vigilante work. And I hope Lucius gets a little bit more involved in some of this too. Just like how he was in the Dark Knight trilogy. If you go back and watch the Dark Knight trilogy, Morgan Freeman played Lucius Fox, and he was always helping Batman with gadgets and stuff that he'd probably need. And I have a feeling we will see Lucius continue that that angle of that on Gotham. I think he'll be definitely doing a lot of that in the upcoming seasons to come, depending on how long Gotham continues to go for. Nigma wasn't busted out yet, so I guess we're still waiting for Nigma to return. I don't know when that's going to happen. Maybe next episode. I never watched the previews for the next episodes because sometimes, especially on the CW, they always ruin what's going to come. And I'm like, I'll just wait for next week. I don't need to see what's going to happen next week. I'll just wait for next week to come. That way I'm more surprised. And so, yeah, if Nigma's busted out next week, don't tell me. I'd like to find that out for myself. Okay, so Gotham, I really liked this week. I thought it was a really good episode. Nice 2 episodes in, and I feel I really like where we are with the show right now. So let's move on to this next topic, and the next topic is Tom Welling was in a podcast done by Michael Rosenbaum recently. And in the podcast, if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's like, I think it's an hour and a half podcast, if I remember. I watched it all, so it's on YouTube, it's on iTunes. I forgot what it's called right now, but it's a podcast done by Michael Rosenbaum. If you search Michael Rosenbaum, Tom Welling podcast on YouTube, you'll find it easily. And at one point, they start talking about Arrow and the Flash and Supergirl very briefly, how both of them were contacted, I guess, by the producers at some point, and they both turned down offers to come onto the shows. I think they were referring more to Supergirl, because they didn't want to just come in for 1 or 2 episodes and that was it. I think it would be awesome if they did. I even commented on on that video, on the comment section. I wrote, I think it would be cool if you guys actually, Tom Welling called it stunt casting, but I always looked at it as honoring the past. 'Cause that's what it is. Whenever you see actors like Christopher Reeve or Helen Slater or Margaret Kidder on Smallville, or even, Dean Cain or Terry Hatcher, just like they were on Smallville this season, I always looked at it as the shows honoring the other shows that came before them, because there is a long history of these characters. John Wesley Shipp on the current Flash series, he played the Flash in the 90s. That's how I always looked at this stuff. And I always thought, well, Smallville, now it's Smallville's turn. Now they're being honored on what they've done before, because they are part of this great legacy of this superhero, this iconic character. And they said they turned it down, and that's fine. It makes me wonder, though. Some theories have come up that, maybe Tom Welling was offered the part of Superman, like it was rumored. And maybe Michael Rosenbaum was offered the role of Lex Luthor. That would have been amazing. If they got those two back to play Superman and Lex Luthor, but in an actual present-day setting, that would be, mind-blown. I would love that, since Michael Rosenbaum, to me, is still the best version of Lex Luthor, of that character. But Tom Holland, that's a totally different character in red and blue spandex. Tom Welling, I would have liked to see him play Superman. And I remember I was against Tyler Hoechlin playing the character, because I thought, this Tyler Hoechlin guy doesn't look like Superman. I mean, I did a whole video on it, that I was ranting about it. But then Tyler Hoechlin played the role, and I got to see him, and I was like, okay, Tyler Hoechlin is awesome as this character. He did a really great job. So I'm won over. But I would still like to see Tom Welling come in and play, even if it's just a random guest character, a character made specifically for him to play on the show. And maybe not just for 1 or 2 episodes, maybe for 5 episodes, like Terry Hatcher played recently on Supergirl. She wasn't around for just 2 episodes. She was around for 5 or 6, which was a lot of fun. Same thing with Dean Cain. He still returns once in a while as the father, or the adoptive father of Kara, and true blood father of Alex. So that's something I would like to see Tom Welling do, even if it's more for the 2 episodes. I would love it. So this week, it looks like he's starting to change his mind a little bit. Instead of saying Supergirl this week, he said he would actually like to guest star on The Flash. And, you know, even before Supergirl started, I was always wanting to see Michael Rosenbaum or Tom Welling on Arrow or The Flash. Because either way, it's a DC superhero property. Flash is even more like Smallville, I think, in terms of, you know, it's a male superhero. Even on Smallville, he ran around a lot anyways. So, if he came on The Flash, I would be totally cool with that as well. Because why not, right? And the first character that guest starred, the first DC superhero that guest starred on Smallville was Bart Allen. So to make it Barry Allen, I think it would kind of be a nice little wink to the camera that, hey, remember on Smallville, the Flash was Clark's first character to team up with. So I think there's kind of a nice little wink there. And yeah, I mean, what can he play? Tom Welling says he has an idea of what he can do. He kind of goes on saying that, like, he thinks he can make it happen, which I find it like, what, really? You're like, what are you, mafia down in Vancouver on the set of those guys? Like, you have the pull, you can, hey guys, put me in your damn show or I'm not gonna do it. I don't know how he can make it happen. Maybe he can make it happen because they know, you know, this guy played Clark Kent in a very popular DC TV show, so why not? I would like to see it happen. I don't know what he has in mind. He makes it sound like he might be playing Clark again, but I don't know how, since you already have Tyler Hoechlin as Superman in Supergirl's Earth, and Supergirl and Flash are connected. Yeah, they're on different Earths. I mean, unless it's like that, unless he's gonna have him play Clark, but as from another Earth, that would be. But I don't know. There's a lot of questions then there to ask, because then you have Erika Durance and Laura Vandervoort, who were also on Smallville as Lois and the Supergirl from Smallville. Laura Vandervoort guest starred in the first season of Supergirl as Indigo, who was she's like a Brainiac type character in the first season. She guest starred in like 3 or 4 episodes. And then Erika Durance, who played Lois, is going to be playing Kara's birth mother from Krypton. Are you going to bring those two back too to play Lois and Supergirl? I don't know. Either way, I'd be happy to see Tom Welling return, because I feel like he's kind of shied away from his Smallville roots. He said in the podcast that he's kind of embraced it a little bit more recently, and he's kind of getting used to the idea of going to conventions and meeting fans, and I hope he does, because I'd love to see Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum. Those are two actors that I never got to meet. Yeah, I've met quite a lot of actors from Smallville already. I met John Schneider, who played Jonathan Kent earlier this year. I met Allison Mack a couple years back. The actor Aaron Ashmore, who played Jimmy Olsen, the brother of Shawn Ashmore, who played Iceman in the X-Men films, who I also got to meet. So I met quite a bit of Smallville actors, which I was really excited about, and I got to express my love for the show to them, which was really cool. But Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum are the two that I would like to meet the most. And Erika Durance, I would love to meet her too. I think she's awesome. And one of my favorite actresses to play Lois. So with that being said, let's move on to the next topic, continuing on Smallville. I want to talk about how I think Smallville has influenced the Marvel movies. Not really. Well, maybe. Who knows? It depends. If Kevin Feige ever watched Smallville, you'll never know. He says he's a comic book guy. He always wanted to see these characters come to life. He always sounds supportive to both Marvel and DC, so you'll never know. And how DC has always had the blueprints right in front of them to do these movies the proper way, but they never looked at it. And I've said this before in the past. Smallville, if you go back and rewatch Smallville, in season 4, they did an episode called Run. And in the episode, they introduced Bart Allen into the series. Bart Allen is Impulse, or some people would also refer to him as the Future Flash. He's the grandson of Barry Allen. The show obviously did some changes to Bart. This was only because they weren't allowed to use Barry or Wally or Jay. So they used Bart instead for their version of the Flash, which was fine. They did winks to the camera, where like they would mostly do during the show's run, where they would, kind of joke that he's from the future. He made a little joke like that while he was hitting on Chloe. So then that happened in season 4. In season 5, we got 2 more characters. Early on in the season, we got Aquaman, played by Alan Ritchson, I think his name was. I forgot his last name right now, but he just got cast in the live-action Titans series, and he was also in the Hunger Games. He played Raphael in the more modern Ninja Turtle movies, which I thought he did a really good job as, because I tried to picture him as Raphael, because his voice, he doesn't have that New York accent, or at least on Smallville he never did. He was always a surfer dude. And then in Ninja Turtles, he had like a New York accent, which sounded believable to me. And I was like, he plays the role of Raphael really good. I like him as Raphael. Raphael's always been my favorite turtle, so you better not mess that role up. And then later on in season 5, we got Cyborg, played by... I forgot the actor's name right now, and I do not want to mess it up, so I'm not going to say his name. And then finally, Justin Hartley was the Green Arrow in season 6. Justin Hartley from This Is Us used to play Green Arrow before Stephen Amell. And then right after Green Arrow's appearance, they had a Green Arrow stay there for a couple of episodes in season 6, leading up to this Justice League episode where the past guest stars would all be reunited with Clark and with Green Arrow in a 1-episode crossover, which was very highly publicized. It was a huge event at the time. I remember getting so excited about it, especially when the Justice League was finally formed, when Aquaman and Cyborg both came into the episode. We got to see Bart again, which we haven't seen in a while from that point. And it was a really fun episode, seeing this all come together, and seeing, Green Arrow forming these guys, especially at the end when they were all together at the end, telling Clark, hey, why don't you join us? We can go out and save the world. And Chloe even says something to the extent of, well, Mr. Kent, you got some fine friends you got here. And Clark just looks at them from a distance and is like, yep, you're right. Or I don't remember what the whole line was, but it was like a cool moment for a superhero fan to see, wow, we got the Flash, we got Aquaman, Cyborg, Green Arrow, and Superman, proto-Superman, all together in one show. Nothing like that has been done on television before, or the movies for that matter. So that was essentially our first live-action Justice League. We don't want to talk about the Legends of the Superheroes from the 1979. Those were that was a terrible TV special, whatever you want to call it. It was terrible. But what Smallville did in that episode, that was something crazy and something that I really enjoyed a lot. And when you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe on how they started, they start with Iron Man, then they go into the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then they all join up in the Avengers. It's kind of similar to the way Smallville set up their characters and then had them all team up with Clark. I thought I see the similar. It's not like huge. Obviously, it's done a little bit differently because you're getting all the characters their own individual movies. But you can see how someone might have seen that. Someone who works in the industry could have seen Smallville and say, "Hey, you know what? I think we can make this work in the movies, but even better." And look, Kevin Feige made it work. Marvel made it work with their universe, and it's kind of sad that DC didn't see that. And because Smallville was a huge property at the time, I think around season 5 and 6, the show still had like 5 million viewers. So it was still pretty high. It's higher than some of the DC shows that are on right now. And it makes you wonder, why didn't like DCEU, just the DC Cinematic Universe, just follow that format? Whatever, you know what? I still enjoy the DC Cinematic Universe. Unlike a lot of people who seem pretty disappointed in a lot of the things that they've done. But hey, they have Wonder Woman now. But in some ways I agree with people. I wish they would have put Wonder Woman out before Batman v Superman. That way we would have known more about her. And I think that would have made her appearance in Batman v Superman even more awesome. Even though I loved her appearance when I first saw the movie, I think it would have been even better if they had set her up before. Same thing with The Flash and Aquaman and all those characters, you know? Cyborg. But you know what? We're getting the movie that we're getting, Justice League, right now, and I'm looking forward to it. I just wish they would have looked at some of the shows that they have, even the current shows that they have. Look what's working, look what's not. Because sometimes it's weird when you hear people praising the TV shows more than the movies, which is funny because it's the opposite for Marvel. You hear more people praising the movies for Marvel more than the TV shows. Like, you never hear people praising Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as much. Inhumans is just getting trashed upon, which I feel bad for because I thought it was okay. I just think it was getting a lot more trash because it was in the IMAX and it shouldn't have been. And then finally, you have the Netflix shows, which some of them have been really good. And then you got Iron Fist, which not a lot of critics were happy on. So with that being said, guys, comment below and give me your thoughts on all of these topics that I talked about. Give me your thoughts on Gotham. Give me your thoughts on Tom Welling wanting to guest star in The Flash. And give me your thoughts on, do you think Smallville was influential? Was something that, like, yeah, they kind of did it first before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And do you think DC EU should have learned from that, from Smallville and from Marvel? Because they tried doing it their own way, but they kind of did it first if they look back on it. But whatever. So comment below and tell me. And, you know, the DC TV verse is going to be really gearing up very soon. Arrow, The Flash, Legends, and Supergirl are all starting in like 2 weeks. I'm really excited for it. Right now we just have Gotham to talk about, but I'll find other topics throughout the week of DC TV that we can talk about as well, like today, Tom Welling. So until next week, guys, I want to say take care, have a good weekend, and until next time, take care.